You good? He's always good. Barb, you good?
Other than this hacky cough, yeah.
Well, we
Yeah.
can stop and edit that any time we need to. Three,
Okay.
2, 1. Hi, I'm Richard Randall, and welcome to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker, the owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. This is the weekly radio show that informs and educates you on how to buy. There we go.
Mhm.
From the top, 3, 2, 1. Hi, I'm Richard Randall, and welcome to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker, the owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. This is the weekly radio show that informs and educates you on how to buy or sell real estate with Colorado's Real Estate Authority, Barb Schlinker. Barb Schlinker is a retired Navy veteran. Barb is an author. Barb's also a pilot, and Barb and her team enjoy all that Colorado and the Front Range have to offer. Barb, always great to be talking with you. Now, we air Your Real Estate Voice every Saturday. If you can't listen to the entire show, it is always available on Barb's site, barbhasthebuyers.com, or you can look for it on all of the popular podcast platforms like iHeartRadio. Every week, Your Real Estate Voice covers great information about the housing market and one of the average person's largest assets, the home. So, Barb, what are we talking about today?
Well, Richard, I'm excited about today's show. We're going to talk about a couple of different things that we haven't covered in a while. The first one is the cost to home sellers for setting their home price too high. A lot of people think, oh, can't I just price it high for negotiating room? And that's actually a big mistake because buyers, they seem to have this built-in radar of whether or not a home is a good deal. And if they think it's overpriced, they won't even come see it. So we'll cover some details about what's going on in the market, both locally and on a national basis. And then the next topic is going to be about what most home sellers want from their agent and from the sale. And I think that'll be kind of interesting to discuss it. I'm actually working on my second book about all the crazy stories that I go through. And a lot of this stuff is going to be kind of rolled into the book. And I try to fold in stories to make it interesting. So we'll talk about some stories. And then the third topic is something that, at some point in people's lives are probably going to have to deal with this, which is selling an inherited home. Now, I've had clients that have sold inherited homes that were literal gifts to them, which is such a blessing, or they were family members that didn't have any heirs, or they were the kids of people that might have passed away. And it's quite a project. Moving is a project all by itself. But then when you have to move somebody else's household, it gets even more intense because you're dealing with lawyers, you're dealing with heirs, you're the executor. You kind of have this, fiduciary responsibility to honor the wishes of the person that passed away. So it gets very intense. And we'll talk about some of the steps and just some ideas to make the process go a little bit more smoothly for you if that happens. And then the last topic is about the steps of the home selling process. People don't do this every day. Some people I meet with have never sold a home before, so they don't know what to expect. So we're going to walk through the typical steps that you can expect when you're selling a home, and we'll fold in some stories about that. Just it makes it come alive. And as always, I love talking about my hot new listings. Richard?
So, Barb, with the real estate market cooling off a bit, many people are saying that the buyers have got the advantage in a market like this one. What are the costs to home sellers for setting their asking price too high?
Well, it costs quite a bit, actually. In this market, the housing demand has actually dropped by over 10% over the past couple of years. At the same time, the number of available homes has substantially increased. Just yesterday, I was out showing a buyer, and in that price range, which is in the fours, which is kind of the median price range, just in Colorado Springs, there were well over 300 homes. So we had to pick and choose the ones that best represented what that buyer was looking for. But there was an abundance of homes. And I will say, going into some of those homes, I was pretty disappointed. Like the pictures made it look way nicer than it was. Then we get in this home, and sure enough, I don't know what happened, but the utilities got shut off. So just to put that in perspective, first of all, you're a buyer, you're going in this house, you're thinking, okay, it could be the one. And then you walk in the door, you can't turn the lights on. It's freezing cold. The automatic subliminal thought is, okay, they're not taking care of this home. It probably has frozen pipes, and I don't want to buy a project, right? So it's just really dumb what some people do when they put their homes on the market. It's a vacant house. It could be that the agent never noticed and doesn't go and check on it periodically. I don't know. Or maybe the seller just didn't have the resources to pay for utilities. I'm not really sure, but it really doesn't make a very good impression. And that particular home, compared to the other homes we were looking at, as it was at the top of the price point, it's been sitting on the market for almost 3/4 of a year. It's like, that's a clue. If it's been sitting there that long, it's either price or marketing or both, right? And we can fix that. And very few homes actually sell at a bidding war. The only time that hope happens is if at the same time multiple buyers see that this is a good bargain and they throw their hat in the ring at the same time. Now, according to national statistics, or actually Colorado statistics, it's about 1 out of 6 homes get a bidding war, right? It's not very many. And unfortunately, there's a lot of what I call dogs, homes that are not so pretty sitting on the market right now. We went in a house this past weekend where the utilities were on. It looked great on picture, but when you get to the house, now think about this, Richard, just what kind of impression this makes on a buyer. I thought they liked this house because they really, really looked at the details on this home, but we could not open the sliding door that went out to the backyard. What does that tell you?
If it's that obvious on something that should just absolutely work, and they could have taken a couple of minutes to get it working before they started showing, now I'm wondering what else is wrong that I'm not seeing immediately.
So guess what the buyer did? They crawled inside the closet underneath the stair in the basement, and lo and behold, there's mold down there on the drywall, right? And now
Well,
we start looking deeper and going, well, wait a minute, why is there mold here where there's no plumbing? We start looking around. Oh, the water heater looks like it blew at some point, right? And there's water, salt stains on the floor. Instead of replacing the carpet, they just painted the concrete, which, by the way, is a Texas thing. Don't do that in Colorado in a basement. It's cold in the basement. A lot of people will paint the concrete floor and call it good, but it's not, it doesn't work in this environment. At least that's my opinion. Maybe nobody cares what my opinion is, but you know, it looks unfinished in general. And it was kind of like a lipstick on a pig solution to a real problem that they could have really easily fixed just for a couple of $1,000s. And you know what? Even brand new homes that we looked at don't have it all. We looked at one home that seemed pretty good. It had the 3-car garage and it had a great lot, except when you go down the staircase to the basement, it was a ranch. There was no way to put a piece of furniture around the corner to get it in the big giant rec room. Hello, did somebody miss something there? You know, they're going to have to put furniture in pieces. I mean, sometimes it's just a little stupid stuff like that that could be enough to get a buyer to reject a home. The other issue is rates. So everybody's thinking, oh, the Fed lowered the rates by a 1/4 point. Therefore, the rates must be coming down. Well, guess what? They have been the same since February. They have not changed. 30-year fixed conventional, 6.3%. Government loans just under 6%. You might get lucky and get a discount mortgage broker that can get you a little bit better rates than that. But at the end of the day, the Fed lowering the rates so far has had almost zero impact on the mortgage rates. And what builders do, part of what they do, because we went and talked to some builders, is they'll go out and they'll pitch hey, guess what? We're going to give you an incentive. We're going to give you, usually it's about 10%, could be a little bit less. We're going to give you 45,000 to either take it off the price. Plus, we're going to give you 4% to do with whatever you want. So you can buy the interest rate down. But what they do is they raise the price of the house to buy the interest rate down. So it becomes, to me, it looked like a wash. It wasn't as intriguing as I thought it was going to be for what you got for that price. But in general, buyers buy on payment. So right now, a 450 house is probably going to run about 3,000 a month. That's a lot of money for most people, right? So it really makes sense to, if you need to get a home sold, if you don't want to wait out the average days on market, which in most of the counties up and down the Front Range are over 115 days before you get a contract. You're better off pricing the home very realistically so everybody sees it's a good deal. And according to the Wall Street Journal, if you overprice a home, it could really, really increase the days on market, which results in more expenses for the home seller, carrying cost, all that kind of thing. And right now, Colorado Springs actually was ranked number 2 in the country for foreclosures. Now, so far, it has not had much of a downward pressure on home values, maybe slightly, because it's not more than 30% of the market. But what we're seeing is we've got 5 military bases around here. They went out and paid 100% financing for these homes. They added solar systems that tacked on another $30,000, $40,000. They added their closing costs. The builders kind of made it look good enough for them to be able to afford the payment. And then when they tried to turn around and sell it, oh, oops, sorry, it's not working. So I showed a house yesterday that originally sold a few years ago for 507,000. It's on the market right now for 425,000. We're seeing these big swings, especially in these newer homes that were owned by military. And the house was just beat up hard, like big holes in the drywalls. The carpet in the basement smelled like some kind of pet urine. It's cosmetic, it's fixable. It was pretty much a good deal, but not every buyer really wants to take on that kind of project. So the best way to really sell the home quickly and for the most money is to make sure it's priced right, prepare it properly, and make sure it's promoted right as well. That particular house I was talking about, there was no indication before we walked in the door there were monster holes in the drywall, right? He kind of shot around it. So it was a little bit disappointing when you got there, but we could tell it was an aggressively priced home. And then there are some situations where you have to price a home because the home has issues, like maybe it backs to a busy street. That usually is a negative for buyers. Maybe it has a unique floor plan. Maybe it has too few bedrooms, maybe only 2 bedrooms and 1 bath, that kind of thing. So you have to kind of look at the whole picture before you decide on pricing and make sure you're really well educated on it. My name is Barb Schlinker. I'm the broker owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty and the host of this show. And we are talking about what is the cost of overpricing a home. And I really feel like going forward into this market, the way you make the most money is if you price it right. And if you want to find out how to do that, give us a call at 719-301-3900. We sell 50 times more homes than the average agent. We sell them faster and they're more likely to sell. Richard?
Barb, we're discussing the cost of home sellers asking too much for their homes. So, Barb, what is that cost and what can home sellers do about it?
Well, according to national numbers, it's as much as 4% if you overprice the home and then ultimately months down the road sell it for a lower price. Plus, there's the holding cost. So you could almost double that amount very easily. And most people don't want to have a bunch of folks coming through their house. It's not fun. So the best way to handle this is to price it out of the gate very realistically, get it sold quickly and for top dollar. Richard?
You know what? I got caught. Hang on 1 second here.
I'm not following the script, just so you
That's
know.
okay.
So
Where are we
we're
at
just gonna
time-wise?
we're gonna wrap it up.
Okay. I was like 5 pages.
Script is too long.
Yeah, okay. We'll do it right here. 3, 2, 1. You're listening to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. If you're thinking of making a move, simply call Barb at 719-301-3900 or visit barbhasthebuyers.com. We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll be discussing what most home sellers want from their agent and from the sale. The hell?
Yeah, I tried to pack too much into that one.
It could happen. All right, I got segment 2 here.
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right.
I also wanted to ask you what you want to do for next week, if you still want to record, or
What's happening next week?
next week is the 23rd.
Mm-hmm. Are you guys working?
We are.
Yeah, I'll probably keep going. Unless I'm preempted by football or something.
Not that I'm aware of.
No? Okay. I just had 2 weeks off.
Yeah, exactly.
It wasn't
But it wasn't
really
fun.
off. You were recovering, so
And this is like long form I don't know. Maybe it's always been this way, but it just feels like pretty much anything you get these days is just going to be with you for a while. And that's all there is.
Yeah. My hairdresser said it was influenza B. Influenza B.
Oh, really?
B minus or
Yeah, my wife's
that's
been
what
trying to
Dr.
push me to
Hairdresser
go
said.
ahead and get a shot. And I am not as all on board getting a shot as I used to be. I'll just say that.
I don't think, and that's the thing. I haven't taken a flu shot in years, and I don't think they could have. I don't think they had this strain, from what I was told. But I don't know if it's true or not. They're always seem trying to play catch up on the flus going
Yeah,
around.
I mean, they think they've got it so, perfected. Well, this year it'll be this. I don't, you know what I honestly believe? I believe they honestly have never been all that accurate about it. But if they can tell you that this is the shot for this year and we're predicting this, then they sell the shot and they make millions of dollars. And yeah, then you get sick anyway and they still make millions of dollars.
Right, exactly.
All right. I'm ready to go here. David is rolling. How about you, Barb?
Yep, I'm ready.
Count us down. 3, 2, 1. Welcome back to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker. She is your real estate voice. It's the weekly radio show that informs and educates you on how to buy or sell real estate with Barb Schlinker, the owner broker of your home sold realty. The owner broker of your home sold the owner broker of Your Home Sold Realty and the host of the program. Now, Barb, we know that most people don't sell homes very often, but what is it that home sellers want out of their real estate agents when they do want to sell a home?
Well, it's no longer the easy button to sell a home right now. The challenge is for most home sellers is just getting it sold. That's mostly what they want. They want the certainty of this thing going on. Right now, the average days on market is showing a lot of pain in the process. So Douglas and El Paso counties probably are averaging 115 days on the market before they get a contract. Teller County, 159 days. Pueblo, 122 days. And it's really the higher interest rates that create demand destruction. There are buyers out there. Things are still selling. But it's just they're having to really work at it to be able to afford it. And a lot of these buyers agents, from what I've seen on offers on my listings, is it's almost like they are expecting a discount and they're expecting the seller to pay closing costs and they're expecting the seller to pay their agent a 3% commission. And if they don't get it, they're like, spoiled kids, it's like, well, but the market, and look how long it's been on the market. I'm like, I'm not the decision maker, guys. You can try to convince me all you want, but it is what it is. And so what we're seeing is we've got fewer buyers making offers, mostly because a lot of times they might be a serious buyer. They're just finding something they like better somewhere else. So there's only two ways to solve that issue. One is to buy the house that they love, make their best offer, or I don't know where I was going here with that statement. Hang on a second. Oh, premium priced homes. So I would say if home sellers overprice their homes, it kind of sets them up for failure. And a lot of times there's really a lack of skill or knowledge on the seller's part about whether or not it's priced right. Some people price their home based on how much they want to put in their pocket. And I'll tell them, look, I'd love to get you $1 million or more, but at the end of the day, it's the market that decides the price. And so the only way you can figure that out is look at historic sales, look at competition. And so I think most home sellers appreciate that education and they can make good decisions based on that. So now I have some questions for you, Richard. I've got this little, do you think it's fun segment? So do you think it's fun for home sellers to spend thousands of dollars fixing up their house for their future buyer?
That does not sound like fun, but it might be necessary, I suppose, under some circumstances. Sometimes you just have to do what you need to get a better price. What's the answer?
Isn't for most home sellers, it's not fun. In fact, they'll say sometimes when they do it, man, I always wanted to do that. Now I'm, getting my buyer's going to take advantage of it instead of me. Also, do you think it's fun for them to have all these strangers traipsing through their house and judging their home?
There is no question. There is nothing fun about that at all, Barb.
No. And I think, a lot of times the agents make mistakes. They leave doors unlocked, they leave lights on, they use the restroom, they leave the combo in the combo box, and they don't spin the dial. Keys right there for all to see. This is constant that goes, the carelessness that happens during showings. And all I can do is just try to console my sellers when it happens. And do you think it's fun when agents schedule an appointment? So I have one seller recently that has a dog that doesn't like anybody but his owner. And so she has to grab the dog, put the dog in the car, and go sit in the car for the scheduled showing. So that by itself is not fun. But what if the agent doesn't show, or the agent shows up early, or the agent shows up late? All those things present a problem when you have a puppy that's going to come over the fence and sound very aggressive. It also hurts the showing experience. So a lot of times these agents, and I get it. I was showing houses yesterday. Different buyers dwell in the homes for longer periods of times than what anybody could really anticipate. Sometimes they're there for a long time, even though they don't like the house. Sometimes they're there for a long time just because they would like to see the whole thing, even though it's not the right house for them. So it's hard to schedule up, a half dozen homes and be really accurate about the timing, especially of the subsequent properties. So like yesterday, I was trying to reschedule to keep that seller informed. Okay, we can't do it at 11. We're going to do it at 1:30. And they got tired of messing with me. So they said no. I'm like, okay, moving on, going to a new house. So that's a problem. Do you think it's fun for sellers to worry about buyers coming through their house that may not be able to buy their home?
There is nothing fun about that. And not only is some of this stuff not fun, it seems to me that it's a legitimate security risk.
Yeah, but it happens all the time. There's actually no criteria to be a real estate agent. There's no how to show a house. There's no obligation on the agent's part to substantiate that the buyer qualifies for a loan. Most of them meet the buyers at the door, open the door, and hope and pray it works out, right? That's very, very common still to this day, even though the National Association made up a rule that said, you know, you have to have an agreement signed with your buyer before you show. But that's only about agent commission. That's not about the qualification of the buyer. I have seen buyers during my open house jumping on the seller's beds. I've seen them use the restrooms and not flush, which is really irritating, especially if the house is winterized. I've seen them, especially with the doors unlocked and not configuring the lights as requested. And they get distracted. You know, they're supposed to be focused on their buyer, right? And trying to encourage their buyer to get to the finish line. But it's not really fun when they do things like, you know, the seller has to have the home show ready every day and be ready to show. That's what the agents will tell them. You got to be ready to show at any time with very short notice. And it is painful. Most home sellers will tell me, I hate this part of the process. I don't like people coming through my house. I don't like that sometimes they don't show, they don't lock doors. And the biggest shock to me, if they have cameras in the house, is they will actually hear the agents criticizing the home in front of their buyers. It's like, don't they want to sell it? Why are they doing that? So all these kind of processes are really irritating for home sellers. And the ones that have experience do it know exactly how bad it could be. Do you think it's fun for sellers if they have their house all packed up, ready to go, and all of a sudden they find out either they want a lot of ridiculous repairs or, oops, sorry, the lender messed up, they can't qualify. They're walking away and you got to start over.
It's not fun. It sounds like it's bordering on a nightmare, to be honest.
It can be a nightmare. It absolutely can be a nightmare. That's why it's so important to hire somebody that takes the time to actually vet that buyer to make sure, by talking to the lender, deep diving with the lender to find out, you know, can they really get to the finish line? So moving all by itself is a difficult project. But then when you have all these people and pieces, parts, and demands going on, it can be really, really frustrating. Let's see what else. So I think in general, what is fun for home sellers, and usually they love me when I bring a contract that they will accept. That's their happy space. All right, we're getting this done. I like this offer. Let's go. Let's get it done. But then stuff happens, and it sometimes will go downhill from there, mostly with inspections, sometimes with appraisals, and sometimes with just crazy agent stuff that demand things that aren't reasonable. So really the number one service that home sellers want help from for their agents is competitive pricing, make sure it's priced right. And they want to know if the home is priced right, right? They want, excuse me, they want communication. I took over a listing for one agent, and this has happened really multiple times where the seller said, well, I just went off what the agent said. The agent said my home would sell for this much. And month after month after month went by. It did not sell. And then the agent just kind of ghosted them, you know, which it shouldn't be happening. You should be engaging all the time to try to get the project done. And that means getting a contract. It starts with getting a contract. They also want to know what to do to get the house ready for sale. You know, there's certain improvements in a house that even though they're kind of nice to have, the buyers won't pay for it. They're not going to pay extra money if it has a tankless water heater. They're not going to pay extra money if it has a solar system, although those are nice to have things. It's not going to make the buyer stroke a check for the cost of those systems. In general, they just don't want to fix anything. They don't want to inherit any deferred maintenance issues. So at the end of the day, the buyer decides what house that they're going to buy. And for the home seller, you need to focus on presenting the home to give them the whole package. Curb appeal, great living room, great kitchen, updated baths, and updated flooring. Usually that is enough to make it work as long as it's priced right. And so, you know, it's kind of weird, but I don't understand why agents will go in and criticize a home, except that they're trying to position themselves as an expert. but it must not be true because according to Zillow, 71% of agents sold 0 homes last year. That's a problem. So at the end of the day, you really want somebody, sellers want somebody that understands how to help them get ready for the sale and provide them good advice through the whole process. My name is Barb Schlinker. I'm the broker owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty and the host of this show. And we're talking about what home sellers want from their agents. And next up, we're going to talk about really why hiring an agent that has buyers is one of those things that can really help the home seller know that they're certain that they're going to get to the finish line in the process. Richard.
Barb, we're discussing what home sellers most want from their agents. So, what should home sellers expect from their agents in a market like this one?
Well, I think most of them really expect, to have certainty that it's going to go through. Almost every seller I talk to wants the most money, right? That's a given. But how do you get the most money? A lot of buyers won't inherit problems or work to do. According to NAR, National Association of Realtors, 40% of home buyers will pass on a home that needs work. So if you want top dollar, you got to get the work done. And it's better to do that before you go on the market. Also, is there a buyer? Maybe there's a cash buyer. Maybe we can leverage the cash buyers against the live in the home buyers to get the most money. All these things are about the agent really communicating the whole entire process. But it doesn't always happen. There's no training, there's no standardization. A majority of agents will go get a listing, they'll put the pictures up there and they post and just hope somebody will make an offer, and they just kind of vanish. So that's why it's really, really critical that all the stars align when you do sell a house, because the consumers are expecting marketing, negotiation, handling objections, closing, and processing them to the finish line to get it done. That's how you make it happen. And we help people do that week in and week out. So if you are thinking of making a move, give us a call, 719-301-3900, or go to barbhasthebuyers.com. Richard.
You're listening to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. And if you're thinking of making a move, you can reach Barb at 719-301-3900 or visit barbhasthebuyers.com. We'll take a short break. When we come back, we'll be discussing how to sell a home that you have inherited. Stay tuned for that.
Sorry for the cough in there, guys.
Well, I screwed up, so I have no excuse. You at least are. All right. Let's see here. Ugh. God, is Kathy loud enough or what?
Kathy, who?
Could you hear that or no?
No.
Yeah, I hear.
Well, no, I mean, it was before. Actually, now it's not bad. Before it was like,
No, I could hear it because I usually have one.
oh, there you are. Yeah. I figured because
Kathy
if
is
it
one
was,
of our salespeople, and she's very loud.
if it was,
She is.
it was leaking onto our microphones, you would have had it. Okay. Let me take a sip of this. I know it probably won't help, but I know. And I've got to drive up to Lone Tree again today and tomorrow, and I'm running low on energy. Okay. I'm good. I thought I was good. I'm good for the next segment.
All right, let's go.
Count us down. In 3, 2, 1. Welcome back to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker, the weekly radio show that informs and educates you on how to buy or sell real estate with Barb Schlinker, the owner broker of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty, and the host of the program. Now, Barb, sometimes people have to sell an inherited home. So, what are some of the things that they should be prepared for if they inherit a home?
Well, Richard, first of all, I would say the first thing you have to do is just be very clear on what the estate was left to you. Like, who's the executor, is there a will, are there heirs? There's a lot of coordination and communication that has to take place between the family members to make sure everybody's satisfied with what happens on the finish line. So typically, most people designate in their will what they call an executor, which is a legal term for somebody that has a responsibility to execute the will of that person that was left the property behind. And if it's not in a trust, which a trust makes it selling a piece of real estate a lot simpler, then typically that person has to have get with an attorney, an estate sale or an estate attorney, and actually get designated as the executor. And those are legal documents before they can execute a contract with an agent to sell the home or dispose of the property. They really have to have it legally lined out. And most of the time, the ownership documents are pretty straightforward. Typically, there's no problem with getting that done. Most ownership documents are recorded. And then, you just have to make sure that you get with an attorney and get those issues resolved and keep that paperwork. Don't lose it. Now, there are some people that actually will set up their estate before they die, either in a trust or maybe they did something called a beneficiary deed. Now, what that means is if that owner passed away, the ownership would automatically pass to their heir, which is a good thing to do because it's just a way of dealing with the real estate specifically in that scenario without having to go to probate. Now, title companies typically will want some time between the actual time that you have. Let me explain that. So if your buyer is getting an FHA loan, there's going to be like 120-day delay before you could sell to that buyer. I don't know why, but it's just a weird rule that kind of comes out. So don't be in a hurry. I think most people are kind of overwhelmed with just dealing with just the stuff, all the stuff left in the house and who gets what and what do we get rid of and who wants this furniture. That all by itself takes a bit of time. So that's number one. And then you have to consider if you're going to sell the home, what is your strategy? Are you going to go as is with no repairs? Are you going to fix it up? I've seen some people take on homes like that and fix it up. They might be able to get really good deals, so much so that they're able to make a profit when they turn it around. I've had others, like I helped a lady that was in her 90s sell her home, beautiful lot, ranch style home with nice views in the 80918 zip code, but she hadn't updated anything. It still had Bronco orange carpet in the basement. She wasn't going to do that, right? So there's a price for that. You can't expect a premium price if the house has not been updated, but it had a great lot and we're able to get it sold very, very quickly. So there's a lot of parts to it, but I think the biggest overwhelm for most people that inherit a home is dealing with not just the house, but all the stuff in the house and who gets what and all that. It can be confusing. So if that person had a will in place, it's better. If they have a trust in place, it's even better. So I would consider that if you don't want to leave a mess behind for your heirs. And to get a good trust, I think you're probably going to spend $4,000 to $5,000 right now. It might be cheaper just to set up the beneficiary deed. I met one client that set her estate up that way, that if she passes away, then her family member gets the ownership of the real property, and it just saves some time and makes it nice and clean and simple. But pricing, no matter what condition the home is absolutely critical. So you will see homes on the market and they'll put a comment in there saying it's an estate sale. So from a buyer or an investor standpoint, typically they think that's a good deal. They're like, hey, this is awesome. It's a discounted price. And most of the time they are, if it is an inherited home, because the heirs don't want to have it sit on the market for 120 days and wait for a buyer and get top dollar. They just want to get it done and move on with their lives. So it's always good to price those homes very realistically, especially if you don't plan to do any remodeling. My name is Barb Schlinker. I'm the broker owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty and the host of this show. And we're talking about basically what to do when you inherit a home. What are some of the easy ways that you can handle this type of sale? And next up, we're going to talk about some tips on things that you can do to get the house ready for sale. Richard?
We're listening to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. And if you are thinking of making a move, call Barb 719. Here we go. Call Barb 719-301-3900 or visit barbhasthebuyers.com. So, Barb, what are some other things that people should consider when they're selling a home that they inherited?
Well, it starts with getting the home cleared out. And typically you want to gather the family members. I know when my dad passed away, my mom said, hey, all you kids, come and get what you want. So it's kind of funny how every sibling had different things they wanted from the estate. And that's one easy way to handle it. But then she was left with a household of stuff. So what she did was an estate sale while she was alive. She basically just picked out stuff that she wanted to keep, moved that out, sold the contents of the house to an estate company. They had a big sale and they got rid of most of it. So that's one option, is to do an estate sale. And the stuff that they can't get rid of, typically the estate company will typically just donate the rest or do whatever they consider appropriate for the items. Also, a pre-inspection is a really good idea. Anytime you're selling, in my view, it's a good idea to get that done. I helped a lady a number of years. It was right when COVID broke out. I'll never forget. And she had this nice home in a good location, but it really had years and years and years of deferred maintenance. Her parents were heavy, heavy smokers. Like even after she got the house cleared out and after she had the walls cleaned, you could see the outlines of the artwork and stuff. And it was just rough. It had original single pane windows. It still had a very strong cigarette smoke smell. And I said, let's get a pre-inspection, see what we're getting into. What they did discover is there's areas of mold. And because I told them, I said, you could remodel this yourself if you have money in the budget to do it, or you could just price it very aggressively and let the next buyer do it. So they were going to remodel, but then they discovered that the mold thing was just a bridge too far. They didn't want to deal with it. So they said, why don't we just price it very aggressively? So I said, okay. So we put the house on the market, probably, I'm going to guess, about 25% below what similar sales could be if the home was in good shape. And immediately we started getting showing after showing after showing. So it really sparked the buyer activity. But soon after, we, the seller was going over to check, check the house every day to make sure things were secured. And sure enough, they just weren't. They would leave lights on, they would leave doors unlocked. And I was really getting daily complaints about this. And finally, it reached a tipping point when some dummy agent went to the house, took the key out of the digital lockbox, and stuck the key inside the door in the garage. There's a service door in the garage, left the keys there and locked up the house. So she basically locked all the other buyers out of the house. Fortunately, we had a garage door keypad, so we're able to get into the home. But I said, that's it. I can't trust these idiots. I'm done. So I decided to set up a series of 3 different open houses, 1-hour open houses. And this is when COVID was just roaring. And some of the agents are like, well, I didn't want to be around that many people. I said, fine, don't go. I don't care. You know, but I'm not dealing with having to chase after you guys if you can't lock doors and you can't honor somebody's property. So we ended up getting 20 offers on the home. And it ended up selling for what at the time was really full retail value on the initial contract. But Mrs. Buyer threw in the offer, got caught up in the bidding war. When Mr. Buyer came to see the house, he said, oh, no, I'm not buying this. So they bailed out. We never went back on the market again. We went back to the other 19 buyers and said, hey, guess what? This one's available. So we ended up getting pretty close to market value, cash as is, and it worked out great in just a few days. And I'm like, I'm going to do more of that because, to be honest, it's very frustrating for home sellers to have to deal with these careless agents that leave doors unlocked, that don't respect people's property. You know, it makes you feel like you've been violated if somebody comes in your house and they can't lock a door. I mean, I don't know why they can't do it, but anyway, that's common. It still goes on. But having these 3 supervised open houses was a great way to just rip the Band-Aid off and get it done. And we still got plenty of offers, and it's sold for full market value. So if you are thinking of making a move, there's all different strategies that we could deploy to get your home sold. Give us a call, 719-301-3900. We know how to help you on inherited homes, and we'd love to help you. Richard.
You're listening to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. And if you're thinking of making a move, call Barb 719-301-3900 or visit barbhasthebuyers.com. This discussion dovetails in with the next hang on. This discussion dovetails in with the next topic when we come back. We'll be discussing the 7 steps of the home selling process, plus Barb's hot new listings. Don't miss them.
You okay?
What did you say about water? Jeez, I'm going to go get some water.
Hey, Barb.
Yes, sir.
That recording paused about 2 seconds into that segment. Is there any way I can get the raw audio from this recording on your Zoom?
Sure. Griff, did you hear that?
And I'll just lift that off and edit it up.
Hey, Griff. He may not be listening. Let me message him.
Yeah, if you wouldn't mind. I didn't notice it until we did the reset, and I was like, oh, it paused. That's lovely.
It's him. It's not responding. He's typing up. Okay, he said he will.
Oh, excellent. Thank you.
Hold on, I'm hearing noises.
Okay.
Uh, All right. Ready to roll.
Hopefully Richard's getting some water this time instead of trying to gum up the
We're
works
just
with
a
Red Bull.
we're just a pair today.
Did you find some water?
I did.
All right. It worked great.
Yeah, right. Hmm. All right. Okay, I'm good. How about you, Barb?
Try to get this done.
I am ready. Count us down in 3, 2, 1. Welcome back to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker, the weekly radio show that informs and educates you on how to buy or sell real estate with the host of the program, Barb Schlinker, owner broker of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Now, Barb, the market has certainly changed in the last 8 months, causing some people to wonder if their houses will sell quickly and at a good price. During the pre show, you shared with me you created a series of videos about the top 12 steps to selling a home.
I did. And they're available up on my website, barbhasthebuyers.com. And just so you know, people don't sell homes very often. It is a large project to sell your home. It's a large project just to move. But there's basically a process to it, and it's actually different in every single state. So I sat down with a buyer yesterday, and we were going over the home buying process, and just I asked him, if is it any different than what you're doing? He goes, no, it's pretty much the same. But it definitely has gotten more complicated. The contracts are now over 22 pages long. Technology is changing all the time. So most people are not up on it if they don't do it. Same with real estate agents, actually. So we try to make it simple and smooth and without surprises. So step one really is meet with a good real estate agent that you trust. Somebody hopefully that has experience selling. And you want to meet with them 2 to 6 months. I've had some people meet with me years before they went on the market, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But that way you have time to actually prepare. When you're ready for go time, you've got everything done, and you feel very confident that you're not going to have any issues. So before we meet, I'm going to find out, what have you done to the home? What is your feeling on the improvements that you've made? What are your goals? What's important to you? What kind of buyer are you looking for? And that way we can do a whole bunch of research before we meet. When we do meet, we do what we call an in-home consultation. So I take a look at the house. During the walkthrough, I'm looking for any condition issues, any tips that might help them present the home better. We can kind of give you a range of values. We can show you what similar homes have sold for, also what your current competition is, and tips on what to do and what not to do to get your house ready for sale. Plus, we're going to show you our list of buyers that would be a match for your home, as well as cash offers. And then we prepare an estimated net sheet where we give you a really good idea after all expenses, including your mortgage, which is typically the biggest one, what you'll put in your pocket when it sells. And of course, it's a free service. You're never obligated to sell your home. And, our initial meeting, you don't have to be show ready. A lot of people get a little worried that, oh my God, a realtor's coming over, I better pick up my house. But it doesn't matter. We can look past all that. We've been in thousands and thousands of houses. The key is that you want to make sure that that I can see everything about the house. It's okay at that time to tell me all of its flaws. Some things are important, some things are not. Also, we're going to be sharing with you what are our key systems that we use to present your home in the best light, and how to help you decide what is the best price positioning for the home. And if you're satisfied, we ask for your written permission to handle the sale, and we go from there. Now, some home sellers actually worry about being signed up for long-term contracts, but we actually offer a satisfaction guarantee. And if we don't perform, you can tell us to go away. It's just that simple. Now, we also have a checklist, and we make this available to our clients. It's called a What Happens Next checklist. And it's really just kind of a form of a system to give them an idea of where they're at in the process. People want to be informed about what's going on with their sale. So we're going to tell you how to prepare your home for sale, how to prepare for photo day. We'll start marketing to our buyers on many different platforms. If you choose to do the certified pre-owned home program, we'll get the pre-inspection done. Then you have time in order to deal with any kind of repair issues. Like I just met with the seller that his deck just had a lot of wood rot, and it has some other things about it that are really spectacular, like backing to open space with gorgeous Pikes Peak views. However, when they come to inspection day, they're going to ask for those repairs. So they went ahead and found somebody that really gave them a good price, and they updated their deck so they don't have to worry about that when it comes time for the inspection. A lot of times they will ask us too for trusted professionals. Who do you know that does this? Who do you know that does that? And it's a good list for people to get access to our preferred vendors. It saves them money many times, and it gives them peace of mind that they picked the right contractor to do the job. Because most sellers want the certainty that their home is going to sell, that they're going to pass the inspection and be able to move on with their next home in their lives. Another step is when it is time to be prepared for buyers to view your home. So most agents are going to tell home sellers, hey, be ready to show 24/7 whenever they ask, which is ridiculous. You want to show when it works for you. And I actually think the less availability to show, if it's priced right, makes the home more desirable. Agents think, oh, why can't I show whenever I want? But I get that there's only a certain time when they're going to be meeting with buyers. But at the end of the day, you have to make it work for you. Like, you don't want your dinner to be interrupted. You don't necessarily want to show in the dark, and photos absolutely have to be top notch, because we know that buyers are eliminating homes based on the online presentation. You want to make sure that that online presentation is set up in such a way that the buyers absolutely pick your home as a must see on their showing list. And I also prepare my clients for surprises. I call it agent bad behavior: showing up late, showing up early, missing the appointment altogether, not rescheduling, showing buyers that aren't qualified, showing buyers that don't want a home like that. So there's a lot of mistakes that can be made. Just be prepared for it. Put your armor on. It's not a fun process, but we try to make the process as simple as possible. My name is Barb Schlinker. I am the broker owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty and the host of this show, Your Real Estate Voice. And we're talking about the steps to sell a house. And when we come back, we're going to finish up on that list of steps. If you are thinking of making a move, give us a call at 719-301-3900. Typically, I can match from our huge list of buyers, at least 1,000 buyers that would be a high match for your home. And if you want to find out about those, call us at 719-301-3900 or go to barbhasthebuyers.com. Richard?
We're talking about the top steps in the house selling process. So, Barb, tell us about the rest of that home selling process, if you would.
Well, consider offering a home warranty, especially if your systems are older, like if your furnace is 15 years old, if your water heater is beyond the inspector criteria of being dead 8 years, you might want to include a home warranty. It gives you peace of mind that if it fails during the listing, we got you covered. It gives the buyer peace of mind that if it fails for a year after closing, they are covered. So it's a very good thing to offer, especially with older systems. And then what do you do after? I get this question a lot. After you actually accept an offer, do you allow other buyers to show? You could. We keep marketing until the deal is firm. That's the way I like to work. But In general, we do have to tell the other agents there is a contract. A majority of the showings will actually stop, and then your agent orders title, the buyer's agent orders the inspection, and then they start with the inspection process, which is never fun. But if you've done a pre-inspection, you have a little bit less to worry about. And the other step in the process, if your buyer is getting a loan, is an appraisal. It is a licensed third party that is looking at the home, confirming that the home meets the loan guidelines. So a little stricter for VA and FHA loans. And all of them ask for safety items. And they're also giving an opinion of value as to whether or not the home is worth what the agreed upon sales price is. And most of the time that process goes through just fine. I have a property right now where the buyer asked for, the buyer's appraiser asked for the deck to be repaired because the appraiser pulled up a rug and lo and behold, there's all this wood rot and damage on the deck. So that doesn't meet VA requirements. Then there's the final walkthrough, not much to prepare for that other than proving the inspection, agreed upon inspection items are done, and also preparing for closing and moving. So we have processes all along the way to keep you informed. So it's no big surprise when you are selling a home. We don't like people being surprised. And silence is not your friend when you're selling homes. So if you are thinking of making a move, give us a call, 719-301-3900, or go to barbhasthebuyers.com. Richard?
Barb, favorite portion of the program, you've got some hot new listings. Tell us about them.
I have some great listings. Beautiful home on Danview out on 35 acres in Yoder, peace and quiet out there for $199,000. Really cute home on a couple acres on County Road 100, priced at just $260,000. Adorable townhome, 2-bedroom, 2-bath, 2-car garage, priced at $299,000. Beautiful home on North Mead at $325,000. Hot new listing on 720 Rampart Range up in Woodland Park. Really cute home that has a drive-through garage, brick home, priced at $344,900. A home owned by the VA, priced at $365,000. Another really, really nice home by UCCS, priced at $434,900. And then we have a gorgeous home on Ross Drive, priced at $759,000 on 1 acre with lots of privacy, great neighborhood, 4-car garage spaces, and lots more. Beautiful home on 13th Street in Pueblo in the low threes. Another home on Stephen Drive, just in the low fours. A gorgeous rancher in Meridian Ranch at $519,900. And a stunning home on Broadmoor Bluffs Drive that actually backs to NORAD. Plus, we have a great lot on Hidden Valley and an awesome D20 home coming up under $400,000. So if you want to find out about all of our listings, go to barbhasthebuyers.com, click on featured properties to find out. We've got lots coming, and we'd love to help you when the time is right. Richard?
You've been listening to Your Real Estate Voice, Barb Schlinker of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. If you're thinking of making a move, call Barb at 719-301-3900 or visit barbhasthebuyers.com barbhasthebuyers.com. Thanks, Barb. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, and have a great weekend.
All right. Then we adjourn next Tuesday so we can say Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Wait. This is the only one before Christmas, isn't it? No, the other one will air before Christmas. Okay.
It will? What day is the 25th, 23rd?
What am I thinking?
3, 4, 5. No, Friday would be right after Christmas.
Yeah, we'll record it. But so here's the thing then. Do you want to just tag on Merry Christmas here?
Sure.
All right. 3, 2, 1. Thanks for listening. And Barb, thank you. Have a very Merry Christmas to you and all of your listeners.
Thank you. Merry Christmas to you as well.
Bah humbug. Make sure you get out the bah humbug part of that.